Impact Wrestling Review, the 20th of May, 2021.
So guys, this is the first edition of Pro Wrestling Global's Impact Review, and this is the sound of Don Van Llama. That's right, that's me, and this is the voice you're going to be hearing over the next few minutes or so, just giving a nice little review of the latest Impact. And let's kick it off, shall we, with the first match, which was none other than Rohit Raju versus Jake something. On paper, these guys, like, look at them. You're never going to put all your money on Rohit, are you? Because you've got just the sheer size and dominance of Jake something. But when Rohit brings along Shearer, you know that it's going to kind of balance the books a little, don't you? You've just got to look at the absolute athleticism of Rohit Raju and the absolute A-game that he brought to Jake something in this match. They really, really thrashed it out, but then you've got Shearer on the outside, and there's absolutely no way that he's just going to stand there and do nothing. Got to give it to Rohit. He definitely put up a good fight against Jake, but myself, I am kind of a big fan of Jake something. The fact that Shearer was loitering outside, you knew he was going to get involved at some point, but the fact is, Jake was dominant. There was a standard Rohit kind of a kind of twist there because obviously Shearer's helped him out. Rohit's got the win, and Jake's there. He's not going to just stand there and be quiet. He's gone for Shearer. He's grabbed him and he's put him through a table. Rightfully so. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone else, not really. But the fact that Shearer's got involved, he's definitely got to level him at some point. What will we see over the coming weeks? Will we see more of like Jake something versus Shearer? Like, personally, I don't think that Shearer has been much of a great addition to Impact's roster. He's been very quiet. He's a big dude. He just doesn't seem to do much in the way of like character, or like he doesn't really bring much to the table. He just kind of probably empties the buffet table. But it's just one of those things where I reckon that we could start to see Shearer become someone with kind of a standpoint on the Impact roster, and I reckon Jake's going to push him. He's going to push him to a new level. So it's quite exciting to see that two guys are both in Impact, and we're going to see Impact give them the push. And, I'm looking forward to it. But overall, I would probably say that the match of Rohit versus Jake something, I'm going to give it a solid 7. It was pretty entertaining, but the wrong man won. But it's kind of opened a few doors. It's kind of opened a few doors as to what could happen in the future. On to the next match. Obviously, we've got the hottest flame, Kira Hogan versus Teneal Dashwood, and I'm just going to throw it out there. I find Teneal one of the most annoying talents worldwide in any promotion, but in the best way. She's always prominent, like it's all about me, as she says, and stuff like that. And seeing her against Kira, I think Kira's come on leaps and bounds since she first started in Impact. So it's been quite good to see. See her emerge as like such a good talent. So it was an interesting match. I do think that maybe we could have got more from that match. But like Teneal, in Teneal's standard ways and stuff like that, she really did boss the match, if you will. I don't really think Kira ever stood a chance, but overall, I would probably say that match, that was probably around a 6, I'd say. But the finale was brilliant. You've got all of, not all of, but you've got a majority of the knockouts coming out, stirring it up. They really laid into Teneal, to be fair. It was kind of difficult to watch her laid on the floor with like 4 or 5, knockouts stood around her and stuff. But, she's brought it on. She's really brought it on herself. She's not the most fair talent, as she says, it's all about her, and she does kind of take it all on board herself. And look at the rivalry she's kind of got with Taylor Wilde now. It's good to see her back, but then I really do think that the knockouts, they are definitely the strongest roster that we have in many years. Don't think you're going to find a stronger female group of wrestlers in any other brand worldwide, to be fair. I really do think that these they're the best bunch of female wrestlers that you could have together, albeit, we do miss people who have been in Impact, such as Kylie Ray. I wish her all the best and stuff. I hope she returns one day. And dare I say it, someone like Tessa Blanchard. I know some people are cringing right now because I've said that, but you could not fault her wrestling. She was a quality wrestler. I just think that the fame got to her head, but who knows? It'd be great to see some knockouts return. Got to just add to that match as well. Seeing Decay pop up, Black Taurus, Crazy Steve, and of course Rosemary, seeing them pop up now and then, it really does feel like the Decay show rather than Impact. I love the push that they're getting at the moment. They're turning up everywhere. They're winding up everyone. And I just think that it's great for character development and stuff like that. And it's made it a hell of a lot more entertaining. Moving on to the next match, we had the new guy on the block, VSK, versus P.E. Williams, a TNA legend, if you will. I'm a big fan of P.E. Anytime that you see him in a match, you just know you're going to see his absolute best. But VSK, he really got a kick in against New Japan's El Fantasmo. That finisher that Fantasmo done on him the week before. I thought, is VSK, is he alright? Has he been completely knocked out? And yet again, with this match, VSK versus P.E. Williams, it was a great display from VSK. Overall, I don't think you're ever going to beat P.E. Williams, not as VSK anyway. And, he really did fight well, and there was a good exchange and, stuff like that. But P.E., with that Canadian Destroyer, there's absolutely no chance that VSK was going to kick out of that. And yet again, it looked like he was completely KO. He looked flattened. But, to me, as I said, I'm a big fan of P.E. VSK, he's really... he's emerging. He's someone I've got an eye on. He's a good guy. He's bringing a good game. I'm going to give that match a strong 8. Obviously, I'm trying to give a review here of this week's Impact and that, but you cannot ignore W. Morrissey coming onto the scene. Kaz XL, as you might know him, he's had a tough time, and obviously from his promos and stuff, he really put it on the line. He really said how it was and how he feels about the fans writing him off. Maybe, former fans from a different promotion where he may have worked before, saying about how the talent let him down and stuff like that. You really do feel for him. Well, I do anyway, because obviously we all have our struggles and stuff like that. But Kaz XL, W. Morrissey, as he's known now, a real big dude, and he's definitely in charge. But I don't think Rich Swann should go after him. Seeing Kaz XL or W. Morrissey, as he's known now in Impact, seeing him and Rich Swann go at each other, he attacked Rich Swann, completely flattened him, then kicked him out the door. I'm not sure if that means Rich Swann is kicked out of the door, because I'm not sure where it stands with Rich Swann's contract at the moment. I hope he isn't gone from Impact, but at the same time, we have got a true star in W. Morrissey, and I'm really glad to see him emerging into such a dominant character. You cannot fault his size and his stamina and stuff. He's a brilliant guy, and I really think that we've got something good in store. Followed up by one of my favourite things about Impact Wrestling in present day is good old Swingers Palace. Johnny Swinger's little illegal side casino. I've seen some of the funniest things I've seen in years on TNA and Impact merged together in Swingers Palace. And this week, seeing the return of Fallah and the chemistry being brought back up between him and TJP. I loved them as a tag team. I know it was such an odd mix-up, but just the entertainment that they brought to the ring, I thought that was really good for us as fans to be able to see. He doesn't want to team up with PD. He doesn't want to team up with Josh Alexander. He wants to team up with Fallah. So I'm excited to see what is going to transpire from that over the next couple of weeks. Now let's move on to Moose addressing Kenny Omega about being the champion by being a a god of wrestling, whereas Moose, obviously titles himself as the wrestling god. So you decide who's higher on that. I know who I'd vote for. Anyway, the fact that he's addressed Kenny Omega and Kenny Omega's gone out to see what the whole deal is and stuff like that, and then Sami Callihan has helped Moose. Now that is not a pairing that I ever thought would work. I don't see there being any future being between those two guys. They're two very solo guys. They look after themselves. Then if there's anyone on a roster who I want, having my back, then Sami Callihan, without a doubt. He has put Impact back on the map. Obviously, a lot of us, we remember the feud with him and Eddie Edwards. We remember that hit with the baseball bat. It was a very weird time for Impact back then. I'm kind of digressing here, but I really think that from that moment, the fact that they made that buzz from it and they've managed to transform the company into what it is now, I really, hats off to Sami Callihan. I don't think that we would be where we are now if we didn't have him on the roster. What's going to happen between Kenny and Moose? Will we see it on Impact? Will we finally see Impact talent, other than the Good Brothers? Will we see Impact talent on AEW? I'm not sure. I do flirt with a bit of AEW. I do have a little dip into it and see what's going on now and then, just to see what Don Callis is up to and see what the Good Brothers are doing, what Kenny's actually doing with the title, if we do see anything of Impact on there, if it does even get a mention. Fair play, of all of the people who mentions it, JR, good old Jim Ross, he's probably the guy who mentions Impact Wrestling the most. He'll say where wrestlers are from and, where Don Callis has worked and stuff, But it's a very strange relationship. Personally, I would love to see Sami Callihan on AEW. The lights go out, ICU comes up on the screen, boom, there's Sami in the ring, swinging his bat. I don't know, knocking out the Pinnacle or knocking out the Inner Circle, whatever really odd named stables they have in AEW. But at the same time, I like him being an Impact. I really do. I hope we keep him around. Same as Moose. Moose, I'm not sure on his contract at the moment. They said his contract had been signed and he came out and said it wasn't true. I hope we keep Moose around, and he has been around for a fair few years now. I would love to see him rightfully have the Impact title on his shoulder, not one that he's pinched from backstage. That said, I'm going to throw in another superstar, because obviously we had Slammiversary last year and we had the emergence of EC3. I would love to see a culmination of a story where Omega is fighting Moose or something like that, and then EC3 come along and congratulate Moose on changing his narrative. I'm not sure if you remember that story, stuff like that. EC3 wanting to erase the past and erase the TNA title. The TNA title is now active and held by Kenny Omega. I don't know what's going to happen, and this is why I love it so much at the moment. It's so unpredictable. I was bored of the same old stars doing the same old thing. Not so much in TNA and Impact, but, further north and, other places. But, the product kind of went stale. But now, as a fan, I feel so young again seeing it. I feel so young again seeing it, and it's brilliant. It's one of those things where I just look and I think, we are getting the absolute best out of these products right now. And like Don Callis said at the start of the year, it goes, who knows what can happen? And the fact is you don't know what can happen, and you will have to sit and wait and find out. It's going to be crazy. Will there be a crossover event between, I don't know, Impact and AAA and New Japan and AEW? Will we see stars from each? Will they pick stars out? Who knows? But that's the thing. The fact it could happen now, that's brilliant. Next up, we saw Rachel Ellering fight Jordynne Grace. Now, I didn't expect to see this match. It's a bit of a weird match because obviously they were tag partners, they were Knockouts champions. I totally expected a washout at the end where all the stars, all the knockouts roster were going to come out and stuff like that. To me, it was a fun display to see between these two guys. It was great, them wrestling and stuff, but it didn't really grip me. It's a 5 out of 10 from me. That it was pretty much filler, that match, but it's weird to see what way Jordan's going to go. She was a tag champ with Jazz, and obviously Jazz is gone, and now this Rachel girl, she's on the scene. Who knows? But to me, yeah, it wasn't a match that gripped me. That's a 5 out of 10. On to Impact's main event this week. It was a tag team champion match of Ace Austin and Madman Fulton versus the current champions. I will eat my words in a second. The current champions of Finjuice from New Japan Pro Wrestling. They're absolutely brilliant. Juice Robinson, God love him. He's a real good guy. He's carried the heavyweight title in New Japan and stuff like that. He's a phenomenal wrestler. And then fighting with David Finlay, it's just a pleasure to have them come to our company and fight for us in our matches, even holding our titles. I couldn't pick two better guys from a different firm to hold our titles. They're brilliant. Now, obviously, you've got Ace Austin, who former X Division champion. He's a phenomenal wrestler on his own. Having Madman Fulton with him, I thought it's always an interesting pairing. They really are good together. They have a lot of chemistry in that. But the match, I thought it was 90% Finjuice. They were all over them. I just didn't see the usual chemistry between Fulton and Austin. It was a shame, but I don't know. Overall, for them, I thought it was a good match. Now, this is the thing I love about Impact, and going back to what I said when Don Callis was saying, it's going to be an unpredictable year. You're going to see things you've not seen. It's little things like what happened in this match that really gripped me. Violent by design. So Eric Young and his guys, I'm a big fan. I am a real big fan. I'm an old school wrestling fan. When I started watching it, it was things like Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, things like NWO, stuff like that. A real strong pairing, strong tag teams, or good strong stable where everyone's got everyone's back. Obviously it's wrestling, so no one's ever got the other person's back. There's always going to be a different side story and stuff like that. But Violent by Design, my God, they are a prominent faction for me. I don't think that their push has been hard enough, personally. I think their push could be a bit further, and we could see a lot more from them. But in this match, it was a great twist. Joe Doering, he's had his own struggles himself. When he was in Japan, stuff like that. But he has a wealth of experience, and I don't think we've seen enough of him in Impact. I'm not sure the reasons for that. However, seeing him in the ring, my God, I thought he was huge. And obviously watching Under Siege, seeing him being towered over by W. Morrissey, it kind of brought it into check. But Joe Doering, he's a big dude. And him and Rhino, that's an old school pairing that's kind of a dream team from a few years ago that I would love to have seen them guys fight back then, but they're fighting now, and they're fighting in Impact, and they are now the current Impact Tag Champions. Now, purely because of the twist and because of who those guys are, I am going to give that match a 10. I know they came in and they dominated Finjuice at the end. I know that that's going to be a bit tongue-in-cheek, but that to me was a 10. That for me was a 10 out of 10 thing to do. The fact that they had the balls to do it, like Eric Young, he definitely thought of that. He's a very calculated guy. He's a smart dude. It goes, well, from the days where he used to be scared of his own pyro on his entrance to who he is now. I feel like I've seen a man grow. But yeah, I would definitely say that was a 10 out of 10 ending, and it's not something I predicted when the bell rang in the first match. And I'm sure Ace Austin and Madman Fulton, they are going to be pissed with Violent by Design. But I think that the belts are now back with Impact, and I think that's the right thing. We just got to try and find out now who is strong enough to go and get our title back from the current AEW champion. So basically, this is the end of my little natter in your ear, chatting away to you about this week's Impact. It's been a pleasure. I just want to give a shout out to Graham Brown, who runs Pro Wrestling Global. If it wasn't for him, then I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be speaking to you guys. You know, it's great to be a part of such a great following. Shout out to Anthony Roberts. We're always nattering about wrestling, and you know, it doesn't matter what time of day, there's always something to do with wrestling going on. It's been an absolute pleasure to do this. Also, James Howe, Robert Harvey, Ethan Thompson, you know, great shout out to you guys. It's great to have a chat to you on Pro Wrestling Global about Impact Wrestling. You know, I hope you enjoyed me giving this little review. And hopefully, you know, we've got more stuff in store to go through, more stuff to watch, and who knows, we could have another review next week. We'll wait and see how it goes. But hey guys, shout out to Pro Wrestling Global, and thanks very much for listening. Take care.